We're going to have a look at converting a percentage into either a fraction or a decimal in this video. So what is a percentage? Okay, a percentage is a fraction whose denominator equals 100. And the symbol for a percentage, okay, looks like this. You've hopefully seen that before. If not, now you know what it looks like. You see the two zeros there? These two zeros are the zeros of the 100. And this sort of diagonal line there represents the fraction line. So it actually means, this really means a fraction over 100. But it's just a shorthand way of writing a number over 100. To convert a percentage into a fraction or a decimal, we just divide the percentage by 100, or the number in the percentage by 100. Let's have a look at 3 examples. So convert each of these percentages into a simplified fraction. Okay, so we're going to write it as a fraction over 100, but we must express it in simplified form. Okay, let's have a look at the first one, 65%. That's really the fraction 65 over 100. Okay, so remember the percentage symbol just means over 100. Can we simplify this though? And of course we can. In fact, the numerator and the denominator are both divisible by 5. Okay, so if a number ends in a 5, it's divisible by 5. Okay, so we can divide that by 5. If a number ends in a 0, it's also divisible by 5, but it's also divisible by 10. But we need to divide by the greatest common divisor, if possible, okay, or at least by some common factor. So 65 divided by 5 is equal to 13. 100 divided by 5 is equal to 20. And we cannot simplify this fraction any further. Your calculator can do this automatically anyway, okay, but it's good to be able to work these out mentally. So let's have a look at 65% converted into a fraction using a calculator. So if you type in 65% on the calculator, I might just do this one more time, 65 shift, and then the opening bracket key there. Okay, so if you push that, you see the percentage symbol comes up, press equals, and hopefully your calculator will convert that automatically into a simplified fraction for you. If you push the SD button, okay, it'll convert it into a decimal. So if it's a decimal, it can convert it back into a fraction for you. Okay, all right, let's have a look at the next one. 140%. Okay, so that's a percentage that's greater than 100. So in fact, it's actually represents one whole and a little bit extra. So let's write this first as a unsimplified fraction. So that's really the fraction 140 over 100. Clearly that's improper because the numerator is larger than the denominator. So let's simplify this fraction. Now the first thing to note is that both of the numbers, so the numerator and the denominator, end in a 0. So we could in fact just cross off 1 0 top and bottom. Okay, so that's 14 over 10. They're both even numbers. So we can divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. Okay, so 14 divided by 2 is 7. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that's an improper fraction. If we wanted to write that as a mixed numeral, okay, first of all, we ask the question, how many times does 5 go into 7? How many whole number of times? 5 divides 7 once, leaving a remainder of 2. So we write that remainder as 2 over 5. Okay, what about this one? 25.5%. Okay, so this one's an interesting one because it's a percentage that itself involves a fraction inside the percentage. Let's write it first as a fraction. So that's 25.5 over 100. Okay. Now, the next thing we do is we need to eliminate this little fraction here, this half. So it's quite strange to have a fraction inside a larger fraction. So the way we do that is you look at the denominator of the fraction you want to eliminate. So we don't want this half here. Okay, so it's a 2. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply the top and the bottom of the large fraction by 2. You'll see what's going to happen shortly. Okay, so 25.5 times 2 is 51. And 100 times 2 is 200. And that's a simplified fraction. Okay, 51 and 200 don't have any factors in common. Okay, if you wanted to show this on your calculator, of course you can. So the way you would do this, and watch this very, very carefully, please. Shift fraction button. Okay, notice how the three squares come up. A common error that occurs is people might type in, and I've seen this happen, 25, and then they press the fraction key. Sorry, they press the fraction key first, and then they type in 25. Okay, that is incorrect. Okay, and it won't actually give you the right answer. It actually gives you 1/8. 25.5% is not 1/8. Okay, so the way to do this, again, shift fraction, and this enables you to enter in a mixed numeral. So let's type this in correctly. So 25.5, so just fill in all the squares. Shift percent at the end, press equals, and there's your simplified fraction. Okay, and that's it. Let's have a look at converting them into a decimal now. Okay, so percentages now into decimal. And we do the same thing. Okay, this time we're going to divide it by 100. Okay, instead of putting it over 100, we'll just divide it by 100. So 12 divided by 100. All you need to do is just move a decimal point. Very easy, in fact. So 12 has the decimal point after the 2, and we're going to move the decimal point to the left-hand side, 2 places. 1, 2. Okay, so instead of the decimal point being to the right of 2, it's going to be to the left of 1. So that's going to equal 0.12. What about 52.6? So that should be percent. Yeah, 52.6%. Okay. We're going to divide that by 100. An easy way to do that mentally is just wherever the decimal point is, move it to the left 2 places. Okay, so the decimal point now is going to be to the left of the 5. So it's going to be 0.526. Okay. And the last one, 22 1/4%. Now, 22 1/4 is just 22.25. So it's good to know what these fractions are in decimal. So we're going to write that as 22.25%. Okay. Because 1/4 is 0.25 as a decimal. And we're going to divide that now by 100. So 22.25, divide that by 100. We're going to move the decimal point 2 places to the left. And that's going to be 0.2225. So notice that the numerals don't change. We're only moving the decimal point 2 places to the left. Okay, so that's, I guess, a bit of a shortcut that you can use. Again, just using the calculator. If you wanted to convert that into a decimal, you can just type it in directly. Okay, shift fraction. Okay, so shift fraction, 3 squares appear. 22.25%. Okay, so we'll just type that in. Press equals. Press the SD button. 0.2225.